Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. Before we get to the news in detail, let's get to the front page comment brought to you by today's Kaieteur News. Political wood ants have infested the National House. As Guyanese know too well, wood ants, if not detected and exterminated, can cause untold damage. This is exactly what is happening with our oil wealth. Guyanese political wood ants, or leaders, and their helpers, cronies, are swarming all over this country's oil properties. They are eating into our wealth to satisfy their insatiable greed. They diminish the worth of the oil properties by biting off chunks and carting them away under secretive corporate deals. It is time Guyanese take action to rid the country of its political wood ants who have eaten away at our oil prospects, leaving the National House shaky and tottering. And now we get to the page 7 bluntness. When politicians have something to hide, it is then they refuse to provide information. The more skullduggery is involved, the less transparent our leaders become. All over the world, there are laws which allow for persons to know the beneficial owners of companies. But in Guyana, trying to find out who are the beneficial owners of the fabulously oil-rich Kaieteur and Kanji blocks is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Guyanese have a right to know who got these blocks, and more importantly, who are the politicians who benefit from these deals. We are providing these politicians with a chance to come clean. The people are entitled to know. And now for the news in detail, Kevin Smith here. As Guyana continues its efforts to develop a robust local content policy, Chatham House Associate Fellow Dr. Valerie Marcel has cautioned that the document would not be effective if it is not hinged on a realistic assessment of what the oil companies and its subcontractors need versus what the nation can supply. Dr. Marshall said that this step is one that countries do not do diligently. She strongly advised that there has to be very good communication between the company, the vocational centers, and the universities, while adding that there needs to be a platform of some kind for that to happen. The industry expert was also keen to note that the assessment for skills in country, as well as for the supply chain, should not be a one-off activity before the policy is drafted, but rather a continuous one. And moving on, it is important to maintain the sanctity of contracts signed by governments with oil and gas companies. But what is more important is ensuring that the citizens of a country receive value for the exploitation of the resource. If conditions become so different that the people aren't benefiting as much as they should, then renegotiation is reasonable. That is the opinion of Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. PM Rowley spoke about the country's plan to engage the shareholders of Atlantic LNG, a liquefied natural gas producing company. His administration had found that there was a need to discuss better terms and conditions for improved revenue for Trinidad and Tobago from LNG sales. The government of Trinidad and Tobago had seen willingness by those in the industry, according to Rowley, to negotiate. And moving on, the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, under the new government of Guyana, has initiated moves to advance the reform and modernize of the business sector. This ministry is proceeding with the finalization of the Electronic Commissions and Transactions Bill of 2019. Against this backdrop, the ministry with the support of the Office of the Prime Minister, is inviting public comments on the draft bill. Let's tell you now that Minister of Public Works Juan Edgil said that the government will be allocating funds in the 2021 budget to construct bicycle lanes in order to reduce road deaths among pedal cyclists and pedestrians. According to information from the Guyana Police Force Traffic Department, for the period January 1st, 2020 to October 6th, 2020, Guyana recorded a 51% increase in deaths from 37% increase in road accidents, with 103 accidents resulting in the death of 112 persons. Minister Edgil stated that as a result of the increase in road deaths, the government has begun to step up its road safety efforts. The minister further explained that there has been a 17% increase in pedestrian deaths in 2020 when compared to the same period in 2019. In other news, the APNU-AFC opposition is calling for the PPP government to regularize squatters of the Success area allocated on the east coast of Demerara. The coalition strongly condemned the removal of the squatters from the areas and also said that regularizing them is the most sensible and humane thing to do. The squatters have been tangled in conflict with authorities for a few weeks, who have been demanding their immediate removal. Let's tell you now that Nicholas Daegu Boyer assured that the private sector will be consulted adequately for the upcoming legislation for local content. He said that he has been in contact with government-appointed chair of the Local Content Advisory Panel, Shyam Nokta. Daegu Boyer was responding to concerns that the private sector did not have enough representation on the panel. With 6 members on the panel, Nokta is the only private business service leader. Senior Vice President of the GCCI, Timothy Tucker, had said in September that there needed to be representatives from more business service organizations on the panel. Daegu Boyer said that he has confidence in the panel to deliver, and that it doesn't matter whether he sits on the panel, once its output considered the voices of the leaders in the sector. Still on Mr. Nicholas Daegu Boyer, the government should put the Stabroek Block Agreement to a referendum and let the people decide what should be done with the contract. This was suggested by Mr. Boyer. The businessman, who is currently serving as the chair of the Private Sector Commission and president of the GCCI, said that it would benefit Guyana to do a comparative analysis of Guyana's Stabroek Block deal and other contracts across the region, such as Suriname. Sharing the Guyana-Suriname basin, the Dutch-speaking country has managed to secure a deal with the developers of its very lucrative Block 58 that would allow the state to take home 36% of the revenue from the sale of the crude. Guyana, on the other hand, is taking home 14.5% of the revenue from the sale of the Liza crude currently being produced in the Stabroek Block. The rest is going to ExxonMobil, the operator, and its partners, Hess and CNOOC. In other news, former Minister of Natural Resources, now Foreign Secretary Robert Prasad, has threatened to sue former presidential advisor Dr. Jan Mangal over various statements he made about the signing away of the Kaieteur and Kanji blocks in the 3 weeks leading up to the 2015 elections. In a 38-page document prepared by attorney-at-law Devendra Kissoon, Prasad revealed that he will sue for $2 million plus lawyer fees if Dr. Mangal does not immediately retract and apologize for 36 listed articles in various newspapers, public videos, and social media posts, which altogether give the public the impression that Prasad intentionally signed away the Kaieteur and Kanji blocks in a fraudulent and corrupt manner. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned. Coming up next is the National Outlook with GHK Lal.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands